Yesterday I got a lot of emails from a lot of viewers getting heads up on Universal Audio's new box, their new interface that they released yesterday. Although let's get it out of the way right now. That interface is not geared towards this environment. It's geared towards the live use, or whether you're in a church situation or a theater situation, or of course live sound, whatever that may be. Although Maddie kind of dominates the live sound, or at least has historically. But regardless of any of that, it's kind of geared towards those folks. So I'm not going to speak to that because I don't think that's fair. I don't think you compare this to the typical Apollo series. I think that would be moot. But I think when you look at their choices and how they designed and ultimately put this box together that's got everybody kind of scratching their heads. I've been following the thread over at GearSpace, and overwhelmingly the vast people over there, I should say, kind of see it the same way I do. Look, this ain't rocket science. This is not rocket science. And I'll tell you, when I first got notified of this box, I got really excited. I said, because I made a call a long time ago that I'm just going to flat out tell you, it's obvious I'm dead wrong on Universal Audio. My hope for Universal Audio and their development of improved or stronger processing power for their DSP and improved conversion, although their current level conversion, I'm not going to say it's bad, but they're getting beat in so many other ways. Although you could argue that's splitting hairs to some degree, so I'm not going to get into any of that. But I will talk about the DSP processing and things like that. And I predicted that it's time. I mean, they've milked that cow dry. I mean, there's nothing else to get. If they squeezed all the blood out of that turnip, there's nothing else to get. And that was my main source of contention. Now, a lot of people love to say, Barry, you can't stand Universal Audio. You've got an agenda. No, I don't. And I've made it clear in every video, but people choose to ignore that. Look, I'm the voice out there that gets, like it or not, that gets some little tiny piece of a mouthpiece where I can fight what I see. Whether you agree with me or not, I can respect it if you don't agree with me. But in my mind, I'm trying to fight for you. I'm trying to fight for you, the viewers out there, to kind of potentially push great companies, great companies. And Universal Audio has an amazing history, And it's so disappointing to see that they've got nothing new. Maybe that's just it. Maybe they've just got nothing left in the tank and they've got to ride it out for as long as they can. It's not like we haven't seen this time and time again from great audio manufacturers that start out with great reputations and then all of a sudden they turn into the budget option for everybody. I don't know. They have a boardroom, they make these decisions in there, and that's up to them. It's their business to run, but it's my opportunity and my business to kind of share an opinion about that business, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. This box came out with no new processing. Quite frankly, the processing is limited to only 16 I/O, or 16 inputs and outputs or whatever, at one given time. I still don't fully understand that. Maybe some of you guys will chime down in the comments below because this is all new stuff. And of course, their website doesn't really speak to all the questions that we have. It seems to kind of conveniently ignore all the obvious questions. And when a new interface comes out, the first thing when a new interface comes out, you want to know about what improvements have you made to the conversion, okay? What have you done to give more headroom? What have you done to improve the quality of conversion? Whether or not you could argue whether it needs it or not, or whether it's justified, but that's what we all think. Okay, what's new? What's new in this tech? And there's nothing new. This is basically, from everything I understand, the exact same conversion that's built into their 16-channel I/O unit. And so this just has a D added to it for Dante, of course. Now, I'm a big fan of that protocol. I think we should do away with ADAT. And I'd like it if we could just get one protocol. Right now, the two dominators are AVB and Maddie, and not AVB, Maddie, and then Dante. So you've got those formats there. I guess it's three, I'm sorry. And I use Maddie here, and I love using it. But there are boxes out there where you can combine the different protocols. But regardless of that, I'd like to see that get into one, and we can finally do away with this nonsense of ADAT, which had its place in time. but we're well past that time, okay? But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. So when you look at the fact that there's no improvement in conversion, nothing whatsoever, basically all this is their 16 IO box that's Dante capable. That's really, in a nutshell, that's what we're seeing here. There are other things, I'm sure, but in a nutshell, if you really were to summarize it, that's what we've got here. That's what we've got. And what's confusing about it is if they were going to do that, they should have done that a long time ago, because that world is already, first of all, dominated by Avid, okay, or Digico and some of the others, right? It's already dominated into that world. So to try to tap into that of any meaningful level will be very, very difficult. And let's face it, look, I love their plugins. I own a lot of their plugins and I use their plugins all the time. And in many situations, they're my first go-to, okay? But it's not going to amount to hill of beans in a live situation. There's no way you're going to tell. It won't matter to the end listener that compressor is a more accurate reproduction of an 1176. No, you just need a freaking compressor on it. The only place where that will really possibly potentially help is in the reverb situation. And there's tons of great reverbs out there for that type of format already. So there's really nothing exciting or new here. There's just nothing about it. And yes, you could argue that by using their IO box and their processing, maybe you need less other processing, and maybe that's the case in some situations. I don't know. But when you compare Avid in this business, and you talk about even the HDX cards are very long in the tooth, and I've got my own set of criticisms for Avid, that's very well documented. But regardless of that, an HDX card is way, 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 way more powerful than the Shark DSPs built into any universal audio box. So again, I can't see why, if you're going to do something and you're in that situation, you're not going to quibble over a couple of $1,000s here or there. You're just not going to do that, all right? You're smarter to go out and buy an HDX card for that in that live situation. It's what I would do, even though I can't stand Avid anymore. But anyway, another discussion for another day. But Avid is not a company I want to see succeed. I want them to go because they deserve it. They're bad, evil people as far as I'm concerned. Blah, 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 gone, gone. But Universal Audio is a different story. I want you to succeed. I really, really do. And so what this tells us is that I was hoping for a new box. A lot of people were hoping for a new box. When I say new box, and improve, new and improve. That's what we're always, kind of what we're used to. We're kind of spoiled now. The next thing's got to be compelling, right? And this clearly tells us not to expect anything new. They're going to continue to go on with the fire sales, copying waves, buying their plugins, selling them dirt cheap as if they're nothing. And maybe that's just it. I mean, if you read between the lines, you could concern yourself with the fact that they've kind of given up, that maybe this technology is a dying technology. And I have my own thoughts of whether DSP is truly needed today or not, but I'll leave that for a different discussion. But if you feel like you need it, that's all that matters to you. It doesn't really matter what I think for me. You do what you need and what brings you happiness and joy and helps you in your workflow. But that said, I'm just disappointed in this. I'm just disappointed. You know what I'm really disappointed? I'm more disappointed for all of the Universal Audio loyalists. I mean, for a long time, it was almost kind of a cultish thing to where, you know, it was a status symbol that you had a Universal Audio box. And there was a lot of, although I don't believe in the cultish nonsense, I don't believe in that. But regardless, a lot of compelling reasons why to love them. But that time is gone and past. It's gone and past. And so they've had the opportunity here to really take it to a new level. If you're going to do away with DSP processing, then tell people. But if you're going to continue on with that Shark processing based upon all the comments that I'm reading in various threads, that's probably the two number one issues that people have is no new conversion and the same old crappy, underpowered, grossly underpowered for 2024 DSP processing when the Shark processors, right? Which would mean they'd have to rewrite from the ground floor up and do it. But so what? Look at all the money you made off of your UAD plugins and off of that. Surely you put that in some cash reserve for future research and development, right? Okay. And so, you know, it's obvious in every product they come out with, they're still trying to take advantage of it, whether it be in the, you know, the guitar, floor boxes and things like that. which are very good, by the way, very good. Look, UA makes some compelling, great stuff. But this one area of continued non-development, I would give anything in the world just to be an invisible man and sit in on the boardroom when they're having these discussions to really understand what's in their head. Because if it's not the fact that they really have just settled for understanding that they've got nothing new and they need to kind of get the most out of it while they can, if that's the case, fine. But if they actually have got themselves believing that they're doing the right thing for their customer, at the end of the day, the only reason a company has a compelling reason to do the right thing by the customer is ultimately because it needs to be compelling to the customer. You need to make something that motivates them to want it. And there's no way in the world I can recommend anybody buy a universal audio interface. I just can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't. I cannot do it. Even if you have needs for that processing today, I can't do it. You do what you're going to do. You be you. We're talking about my recommendation. You can take it or you can leave it. It's as simple as that. But ultimately, that's my thoughts on it. If Universal Audio were able to come out with, and I'm not going to edit this, that's why I'm leaving this stuff in here, were able to come out with a compelling interface, I would absolutely consider it. But one, it's got to have great, better conversion, better than what we've had. Not saying that what we have now is bad, but better. I expect that. If you're not advancing new technology, you're not advancing, that tells me you're not the kind of company I want to do business with. It's got to have improved DSP processing, improved. Again, technology advancement. That's what I look for, okay? And it's got to play well in the sandbox with other interfaces. Don't give me this nonsense that you can't continue to add and use other manufacturers' interfaces alongside it for either I/O expansion or whatever it is you want to do. Play nice in the sandbox, okay? If you don't meet all three, one doesn't work, two doesn't work, you'd better have all three or I won't consider it. You do all three and I'll spend the money and I'll add one in this studio because I do think you're a great company. I think you've obviously done great things in the past, but your leadership right now is failing you. And so ultimately, you can make your own decisions and figure it out for yourself. But it's one guy sitting here who's been doing this for over 4 decades, okay? And has been absolutely obsessed with new technology, absolutely obsessed with embracing what's new, gets excited about new things, all right? I'm probably more in tune with technology today than your average 20-year-old is. And that's saying a lot because that's not typical of a guy my age. Nothing against all you other fellows my age, but let's face it, right? It's not typical. It's not unusual, but it's not typical, okay? So anyway, that's my thoughts for the day. Again, you can take them or leave them as anything on this channel. You can hear me, you can ignore me, but if you get rude with me in the comments section, prepare for that comment to get deleted. If you can't be mature enough to have a respectful debate back and forth in the comments section, you trolls, you can go move on. I got no time for you. Don't care about you. You have no voice that's worth listening to. All right? I have to get these stupid disclaimers out when I do these videos because trust me, the idiots come out of the woodworks. But anyway, do leave me some comments down below. Okay? Let's have a debate about it. Let's have a discussion about it. If you disagree with me, fine. Then tell me why you disagree and let's have a conversation. All right? But ultimately, don't forget to, subscribe to the channel, hit that notify, all that crap that, hey, it helps a guy grow. Okay. But anyway, until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.